Two little drop of reddish brown on my underwear. Here we go again. Since I had my kids, my cycle is irregular, which wouldn't be a big deal. Except I'm an Orthodox Jew. And I can't even pass the soul to my husband. Let alone touch, kick, a kiss, or have sex with him for 12 days after my period starts. We'll never know when we have to sleep in separate beds, or place a vase with a single rose between us on the dinner table as evidence of a separation. I was beginning to hate the rigid restrictions on my sex life, until the other day, sitting on a blanket with my two toddlers in a suburban Detroit park, eating pretzels from bags and listening to other moms talking about their sex life. "We haven't had sex since we conceived the twins," said one mom, "and they're a year and a half old." "I just don't feel like it since I had my babies," confessed another, stroking her 15-month-old baby's hair. Then came the really shocking admissions. "I'd love to have sex," a third mom said, "but I'll have to do all the work. My husband isn't interested." A fourth mother described her marriage as being more like a brother-sister relationship than a passionate or fierce one. As I listened to one woman after another bemoan her sad sex life, I thought about how, after 5 years of marriage, Avi and I are hotter than ever. Suddenly I felt very religious. When I was a horny college senior, in love with a Catholic boy, I never would have believed that one day I will be an Orthodox Jewish wife, with 2 beds in my room. "No way," I'd have said, if you told me that my husband would sleep in a twin bed, shoved against the wall, and I would check the color of mucus in my underwear. Until 7 clean days had passed since my period, and I can dunk in the ritual bath, or mikveh. I've always been Jewish, but I didn't become Orthodox until I was in my 20s. I chose this way of living because I like the way that Orthodox husbands look at their wives, with smoldering sensuality, head annoying, and reverence. They spoke sweetly and didn't play games, and I never saw a flicker of distance in their eyes. After years of dating guys that didn't pay for my dinner, much less pay attention to me, I was ready for a real connection. Hooking up wasn't getting me what I wanted, love. It was time to try something else, and that looked like a world I can get into. There are many elements of Judaism that keeps me religious, but the most compelling one is an observant marriage. The night before my wedding, my mother and sister came with me to my first dunk. By the Orthodox Union estimates, there are roughly 300 mikvahs in America, but they aren't listed in the phone book, and they don't have a big sign proclaiming their purpose. Hidden from the road by tall fencing and overgrown shrubs, the mikveh bricks held secrets. Baila, a rabbi's wife, was waiting for us. Brides can dunk first, before sunset, while other women won't start preparing until they see 3 stars at night sight. Baila led my sister and mother on a tour. "Try it," she said, pointing to an empty tub. "Walk down the steps. You see how it will feel." They stepped down hesitantly and looked back, half smiling. I carried my backpack into the changing room and latched the door behind me. I washed my hair and combed my tangles, flossed my teeth, filed my nails. I stared in the mirror, wondering if this ancient ritual would keep my marriage alive through decades of humdrum everyday life. It's not just the mikveh that makes the Orthodox sex so good. The entire system creates over-the-top intensity. To start with, you don't touch anyone of the opposite sex. No handshaking, air kissing, or friendly hugs. In my world, every touch is electric. Then there are the laws of yichud, whereby a man and woman who are not related are never alone in a private space. When my neighbor husband came to help with the sprinklers, when Avi wasn't there, he walked around to the backyard instead of taking the shortcut to the house. We do that because it's part of God's laws, but also because, as my rabbi explained before a wedding, it is about noticing the details. After my monthly mikveh, it takes several days for Avi and I to get used to handing things to one another. I forgot I don't have to put the keys down first. He'll say, I like putting things right into your hand. Before I became religious, I never saw car keys as sexy. There's more. In the Aramaic wedding contract that spells out my husband's obligation, my sexual satisfaction is among them. Our religion allows birth control, as long as it doesn't serve as an actual barrier between us. And we can consult our rabbi to determine which methods we should use and for how long. For Jews, sex is not just about making babies. Although pregnancy is one of the sexiest times, since we're never off limits to each other. As for those 12 days of separation, they're hard. But the time off is a gift. I don't have to say no. He doesn't have to be grossed out of my period sex. I start to fantasize. My husband's hands look stronger to me. I think of his touch. Here's what we'll do. Here's how he'll touch me. I was quiet. Religion is hard, which is why so many people don't practice it. But there is joy in it too. And Avi was reminded me of one of the greatest joys. Sex. I follow a woman down a silent style hall until I reach an unmarked door and walk through it. Bright light bounce off the ceiling. I take off my robe and step into the water till the water reaches my shoulders. I can hear my breath echoes against the wall. I go under. The water gulps. I bend my knees, burying myself in it. I emerge, and the mikveh attendant says, kosher. I dunk a second time. Third time, kosher, kosher. When I am finished, as always, I ask for a moment by myself. A kind woman who assists me step outside to wait. I face the wall and talk and whispers. I have conversations, but I am alone. It is my most religious moment. Please, I whisper to the tales and emerge into cold air. Afterwards, I whip off the towels, pull on the pink see-through underwear that dries low on my hips. I dry my curly hair until it's long on my back, paint my eyes with brown pencil. By the time I leave, I've sprayed perfume, brushed my teeth, and smoothed the lotion over my newly shaved legs. My husband is waiting at home. He put the kids to bed, turned off the game, lit candles in our bedroom, poured 2 glasses of apple wine. I drive into the garage, and before I kill the engine, the door swings open. He is backlit by our house, and he seems larger than ever. Dressed in the shirt he knows I love, I smell cologne. We've been married for 5 years, but my heart is pounding. I'm so ready to be home. There's no blessing over sex, but every time I go to the mikveh, I think about all the Hebrew blessings. One is for the first time you see the ocean. One is for overcoming danger. The blessing for a major purpose. A house, a car, and an Armani suit. There are blessings from rainbows, lightning, mountains, truly ugly or beautiful people. Each Hebrew phrase thanks God for creation, connection and knowledge. The blessing of the mikveh is not different. It is simple and straightforward. A woman thanking God for commanding her to immerse herself. I think about how the best sex in my life had come from total immersion, and I start to wonder if perhaps all this blessing apply equally to my marriage. Truly ugly, purely beautiful, the roll of the ocean over and over, until it's quiet.